€600 per month. For most people, that number immediately sounds unrealistic when Bali enters the conversation. They imagine infinity pools, luxury villas, beach clubs filled with influencers, and prices that only work for short vacations, not real life. And that assumption feels logical because that's the version of Bali most people are shown. But the reality is quieter than that. Bali itself isn't expensive. What gets expensive is moving through the island like a tourist without realizing you're inside systems designed to extract as much money as possible from short-term visitors. What I'm about to share isn't a personal expense report or a rigid budget breakdown. It's something more flexible and, honestly, more useful. It's the way people make a lifestyle like this possible in Bali without sacrificing comfort, independence, or quality of life. Once you understand this, you also start to see why so many people arrive with similar intentions, yet somehow end up spending 3 or 4 times more than they planned, often without being able to explain where the money actually went. It usually starts before they even land. Most people arrive with Western habits, Western booking platforms, and Western expectations. They book by the night instead of by the month. They eat where menus are designed for visitors. They rely on convenience instead of local systems. And Bali quietly charges them for every one of those choices. If you move differently, the island responds differently. That's where everything changes. The biggest shift always happens with accommodation, because this single decision shapes the entire budget. Tourist platforms are built for short stays, high turnover, and commission-based pricing. Long-term living in Bali works through completely different channels. Local Facebook groups, direct conversations with owners, and monthly agreements open doors that most visitors never even see. When you stop thinking in nightly prices and start thinking in longer stays, conversations change. Owners prioritize stability. They avoid platform fees. They negotiate. And suddenly, comfortable private spaces that seem unrealistic from the outside become very achievable. Where you choose to live matters just as much. Central tourist zones hold their prices artificially high, but moving 10 minutes outward often changes nothing except the cost. The same beaches, the same internet speeds, the same international community, just without the premium attached to the postcode. Once you're settled, transport becomes the next silent drain for most people. Short rides don't feel expensive in the moment, but they quietly stack up. Long-term residents solve this differently. Monthly scooter rentals are common, affordable, and give you something more valuable than savings: independence. You're no longer planning your day around apps, drivers, or surge pricing. Fuel costs stay low. Parking is simple. And with the proper international driving permit, it's also legal and stress-free. Mobility in Bali isn't about luxury. It's about freedom. Food follows the same pattern. Bali doesn't force you to eat cheaply or expensively. It simply reflects your choices back to you. Tourist restaurants feel familiar, comfortable, and priced accordingly. Local warongs are smaller, quieter, and serve the same families every day. They don't advertise. They don't optimize for Instagram. They just cook fresh food for people who live there. Eating where locals eat changes your relationship with food entirely. It's affordable, filling, and surprisingly varied. You don't need language skills to navigate it. If families eat there regularly, it's safe. Mixing these meals with occasional home cooking keeps food costs low without ever feeling restrictive. Western food is always available. It's just not designed to be an everyday habit. Where many budgets collapse isn't food or rent. It's the costs people don't think about properly. Visas, insurance, mobile data, small administrative details that feel boring until they become expensive. These aren't optional expenses. They're simply manageable or chaotic, depending on how much attention you give them up front. Handled calmly, they stay predictable. Ignored, they turn into stress and surprise costs that make people feel like Bali is suddenly not that cheap after all. Lifestyle expenses work the same way. Bali can be incredibly affordable, and it can be very expensive, sometimes on the same street. Beach clubs, yoga studios, tours, shopping, all of it is optional, but very easy to overuse. When treated intentionally, they fit comfortably into a balanced life. When treated as daily habits, they reshape the budget quickly. Nature costs nothing. Community costs nothing. Many of the best parts of Bali don't come with a price tag at all. Where you live ultimately shapes how all of this feels. Some areas are built around short-term visitors, others around people who stay longer. Quieter neighborhoods slightly outside the hotspots tend to offer lower costs, more space, and a calmer rhythm, while still staying connected to everything that matters. And this is where the real value shows up. A lower monthly cost isn't just about saving money. It buys you time. It buys you slower mornings, flexible days, and breathing room. You trade constant financial pressure for choice, possessions for experiences, routine for autonomy. That trade isn't perfect. Traffic can be chaotic. Things don't always work on schedule. You're far from home, and some comforts cost more than you expect. But for many people, the exchange is worth it. So yes, a €600 lifestyle in Bali is possible. Not through luck and not through discomfort, but through understanding how the system works and choosing not to move through it blindly. And once you see this, something else becomes clear. Bali isn't unique. The same framework applies in Thailand, Vietnam, Mexico, Portugal, and many other places where cost of living and quality of life don't follow Western logic. But these windows don't stay open forever. As more people arrive, prices rise. They always do. That's why understanding the system matters more than chasing one destination. If this changed how you think about what's possible, don't stop here. I've put everything I use into a free travel hack guide. The platforms, the mindset, and the ways people quietly avoid tourist pricing without sacrificing quality. It's linked in the description. No hype, no selling, just the system. And if you want more breakdowns like this, from places where life costs less and gives you more, subscribe quietly. I'm documenting locations before they change. Tell me in the comments where I should go next. Thailand, Mexico, or Portugal. I'll run the numbers.